to my 27th Wild Watches video. Today, I will be talking about the movies I watched in the month of March 2018. I shall talk about them individually, starting now. The first one I watched was Death Wish, the 1974 classic. It's a great vigilante movie with a great lead played by Charles Bronson as the man who was pushed too far. The second movie I watched was Annihilation. I saw this in theaters and I really did enjoy it. The effects were amazing, the acting was pretty good, and there was some nice gore in there too. The third movie I watched was Leviathan, the 1989 underwater creature feature. This was a lot of fun. I remember being more of a Deep Star 6 fan, but I still think Leviathan has more charm and charisma, as well as a better cast. The fourth movie I watched was The Lair of the White Worm. I watched this so I could have a crossover review with Matt Loftus from Matt's B-Movie Reviews, and I really did enjoy it. It was weird, but I liked it for what it was. The effects were pretty good too. The fifth movie I watched was Humanoids from the Deep, the 1980 B-movie cult classic. This is a gory, fun time. Cheesy as hell, sleazy as hell, and rapey monsters galore. What's not to love? The sixth movie I watched was Deep Star 6. Really good attempt, but it wasn't as good as Leviathan, and the effects were not nearly as good as Leviathan either, and there should have been more monster, but still I had a blast watching it. A great cast, some good gore, but a lot of the deaths weren't even from the creature itself, so it's kind of weird. The seventh movie I watched was The Lost Boys. I watched this with Ray Animator on my live stream, and we had a blast. It's a great movie to watch. I love The Lost Boys. There's nothing lost about this movie. It's a great cult classic, and even maybe just a classic in general. Fun times to be had with The Lost Boys. There is indeed. The eighth movie I watched was Death Wish from 2018. Honestly, I think it's just as good, if not a little better. Very little bit better than the original. I loved this movie. It was a bit cliche, and the original was so revolutionary with Charles Bronson and a great story, and it just sparked a whole lot of vigilante movies. But Death Wish 2018 is its own kind of movie, and I really appreciate that. I'll get more into it with my review. The ninth movie I watched was Primeval. I watched this to get preparation for me doing a review with Fedora from Oh the Horror. The review turned out great, really good, really fun B-movie with a message. The 10th movie I watched was Loch Ness Horror. One of the worst Loch Ness monster movies ever, if not the worst. I can't believe this was actually greenlit in the early 80s. There are some things likable about it, like the really bad-looking Loch Ness monster or Nessie creature. Such a Shrek wannabe with those ears. But, other than that, this movie is garbage. The 11th movie I watched was Leprechaun. One of the best of the series, out of a series that's pretty mediocre. Jennifer Aniston was really good in it, actually, and the cast acted like they got along pretty well. The 12th movie I watched was Leprechaun 2. One of my favorites, if not my favorite, of the franchise. While there are some things that are less likable about it than the first, I still really enjoyed the characters. The charm level's up to 10 with this one, and there's some good kills. The 13th movie I watched was Leprechaun 3. This movie has bulls made of flying brass. Great kills in this movie, fun characters, not as much charm as the first or second, but it's still one of my favorites, if not my favorite of the franchise. The 14th movie I watched was Alligator from 1980. I love this movie. One of my favorite Jaws ripoffs, period. It's up there with, like, Piranha and Grizzly, and Alligator's just so much fun. It's witty, has great characters, awesome monster, and great effects. The 15th movie I watched was The Wickeds. Ooh, this was bad. I reviewed it recently, and I didn't really care for it. There was some good gore at times, but Everything was just so bad. The 16th movie I watched was The Strangers. Decent. Not my favorite home invasion movie. Not as great as everyone makes it out to be in my opinion, but it's not a terrible movie at all. The 17th movie I watched was The Strangers Prey at Night. Much better than the first. A lot of nostalgia was thrown into this movie, 80s throwbacks and shit. I really did enjoy it. Could have it been better? Yeah, but so could have a lot of other movies. The 18th movie I watched was Bruno Mattei's Shocking Dark, aka Terminator 2. This is an Italian ripoff of Aliens, believe it or not. It has a Terminator-esque plot near the end, but it's a fun, bad movie, and I love it for that. And the 19th movie I watched was Sharktopus vs. Terracuda. Now, my Blu-ray player, my new one, actually plays this Blu-ray that I have for Sharktopus vs. Terracuda, and I could not be any happier. I love this movie, my favorite out of the Sharktopus franchise for sure. Great characters, some pretty cool effects for that time period of 2014, where it wasn't always the best in the effects, and the gore is pretty good, even though it's all CGI, pretty much. So yeah. And those are it. Those are the 19 movies I watched in the month of March 2018. Thank you all for watching, and I am Brian Gatto, host of Horror Show Entertainment. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below, leave comments, and subscribe.